But here's the thing, mate. There's no proof of God, right?
Well, it's an interesting concept looking at proof, and I think today we use that term um, in many different areas of life. But perhaps another way of thinking about it is there any evidence for God? So imagine if God were on trial, and a lawyer were bringing a case. What evidences could we bring to suggest his existence? And when we start thinking about it in that way, I think we can look at some very interesting areas. I mean, we can start with some understanding of how the universe is set up according to how we've looked at it. And it looks, when we investigate, that our world in our specific part of our solar system and our specific galaxy is set up very well for the existence of life. And there are certain constants which astronomers have marveled at for the precision. If they were off by just a tiny degree, life wouldn't exist. And so that is a piece of evidence that asks the question, okay, did that happen by random accident? Are we just incredibly lucky? Or is there some sort of mind force power behind it, i.e., is there a concept of God? Now, that alone doesn't prove God. It's a piece of evidence. Another piece of evidence would be, okay, has God ever interacted in human history? And we can look at something like the resurrection of Jesus. And whichever way you cut it, something happened at that point a couple thousand years ago on a cross. Something happened. The historical record accounts for the death of this man, and then for the charted appearance of him 3 days later, noted by many, many people, and then with reverberations that echo on down throughout history. And again, we can say, well, there might have been other possibilities. It might have been delusion or doctored evidence, something like that. But you have to explain it away. And it comes another piece of evidence. And so when you start asking the question, is there a God? And you start amassing these evidences and putting them in order, the case does begin to grow quite strong, to the point that I think that any reasonable person ought to take stock and go, there is something here. It cannot be dismissed simply out of hand. It warrants further investigation.
Guys, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think. Join us in the comments below, and you can click on the link in the description to find out more.